Thomas Jefferson is one of the most celebrated figures in American history, known for his contributions to democracy and his leadership during the early years of the United States. However, his legacy is complicated by his role as a slaveholder and his relationship with Sally Hemings, an enslaved woman who bore several of his children. Now, today we're going to explore the life and the legacy of Thomas Jefferson with a focus on his relationship with Sally Hemings and the ongoing debate over the complicated legacy. Now, let's talk about his early life and his career. Jefferson was born in 1743 to Peter and Jane Randolph Jefferson. Thomas was the third of their 10 children who grew up on the family's plantation in Shadwell, Virginia. Jefferson was educated at home, where he studied Greek, Latin, and French, as well as history and science. In 1760, Jefferson enrolled at the College of William and Mary in Williamsburg. That's in Virginia, where he studied law and philosophy. After completing his studies, he began practicing law in Virginia and quickly became involved in local politics. Now, in 1769, he was elected to the Virginia House of Burgesses, where he became known for his eloquence and his support of American independence. In 1775, Jefferson was appointed to the Continental Congress, where he served on a committee tasked with drafting a Declaration of Independence from Great Britain. Now, the committee included names like Ben Franklin, John Adams, Roger Sherman, Robert Livingston, but it was Jefferson who was chosen to write the first draft of the document. Now, as you know, Declaration of Independence, adopted by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776, is now considered one of the most important documents in American history, as Jefferson's role in it its creation that is widely celebrated. After signing the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson returned to Virginia and became involved in the state's politics, where he served as governor in Virginia from 1779 to 1781. He played a key role in drafting the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom, which guaranteed the religious freedom to all Virginians. In 1784, Jefferson was appointed as a diplomat to France, where he served until 1789. He returned to the United States and was elected vice president under John Adams in 1796, before becoming the third president of the United States in 1801. Jefferson's upbringing in Virginia and his early political career laid the foundation for his later achievements and had a hand in shaping his views on government and his support for individual liberty, which would become the central focus in his political philosophy. Well, let's talk about his presidency. Jefferson's presidency was marked by several significant events that helped shape the future of the United States. One of the most notable of these was the Louisiana Purchase, which took place in 1803. Now, at the time, the Louisiana Territory was a vast area of land in the western part of what is the United States and was controlled by France. Jefferson was eager to acquire the land because he believed that it would provide an opportunity for westward expansion, and that would help secure the future of our young country. After negotiations with the French government, Jefferson was able to purchase the entire Louisiana Territory for $15 million, doubling the size of the United States in one fell swoop. Jefferson's presidency was also marked by his views on slavery. Although he had inherited enslaved people from his father and had relied on slavery to run his plantation in Monticello, it was believed that Jefferson thought of slavery as a moral wrong and that should be abolished. However, he also believed that slavery was so deeply ingrained in American society that it would be nearly impossible to end it immediately. In an effort to address the issue of slavery, Jefferson did propose a plan for the gradual emancipation of enslaved people, which would have involved freeing slaves and sending them to Africa. He also advocated for laws that would prohibit the importation of new slaves into the United States. However, these proposals were largely unsuccessful, and as we all know, slavery continued to be a divisive issue in American politics for decades to come. Now, despite his views on slavery, Jefferson's record on the issue was a mixed one. He continued to own enslaved people throughout his life and was known to be somewhat of a harsh taskmaster. He also expressed racist views on African Americans and other minorities groups. And that was unfortunately common among white Americans at the time. Now let's talk about Jefferson's life in his plantation of Monticello and the Sally Hemings controversy. Monticello, which Jefferson inherited from his father, it was his plantation home in Virginia. It was the center of his world for much of his life. Monticello was a place of great beauty and innovation, but it was also a place where slavery was unfortunately a central part of everyday life. Like many plantation owners of his time, Jefferson relied on enslaved labor to run his estate. Now, at its height, Monticello was home to over 400 enslaved people, including carpenters, blacksmiths, and cooks, and as well as also field hands and domestic servants. Now, one of the most controversial aspects of Jefferson's life at Monticello was his relationship with Sally Hemings, who was an enslaved woman and was owned by Jefferson's father-in-law, John Wales. Hemings was the half-sister of Jefferson's wife, Martha, and she came to Monticello with Martha when Jefferson married her. Now, Hemings was only 14 years old at the time. It is unclear when Jefferson's relationship with Hemings began, but it is believed to have started in Paris in the 1780s, where Hemings accompanied Jefferson when he was serving as diplomat there. The relationship continued when they returned to Monticello and is believed to have lasted until Jefferson's death in 1826. Hemings and Jefferson had a complicated relationship. They had at least 6 children together, four of whom survived into adulthood. The children were all born into slavery and were legally considered to be Jefferson's property. However, there is evidence to suggest that Jefferson may have given Hemings and her children special privileges and treated them differently than other enslaved people at Monticello. The nature of Jefferson and Hemings' relationship is the subject of much debate and controversy. Some historians argue that it was a consensual relationship, while others argue that Hemings, as an enslaved woman, did not have the ability to give consent to anything. The fact that Hemings was a teenager when the relationship began, and that Jefferson held significant power over her as her owner, of course, only adds to the complexity of that situation. Despite the controversy surrounding their relationship, it is still an important part of American history, and an example of the complicated and often brutal nature of slavery in the United States. It is a harsh reminder that even the most celebrated figures in American history were not immune to the moral failings of their time. Now we talked about Thomas Jefferson and his legacy. Now let's talk a little bit about Sally Hemings' legacy. Sally Hemings' legacy reflects the complex history of slavery and race in the United States. As an enslaved woman who had a sexual relationship with her owner, Thomas Jefferson, and bore several of his children, Hemings has been the subject of intense interest and debate among historians as well as the wider public. One of the most significant aspects of Hemings' legacy is the light she sheds on the lives of enslaved people during the early years of the United States. Her relationship with Jefferson, which was illegal at the time and remained a secret for many years, highlighted the ways in which enslaved women were exploited and abused by their owners. By all accounts, Hemings was a skilled seamstress and housekeeper, and she was forced to use her skills to maintain a household in which she was also a sexual object. Now, her story is a reminder of the brutal reality of slavery and the ways in which it dehumanized and degraded people. In recent years, Hemings' story has also become a rallying cry for those who are seeking to confront the legacy of slavery and racism in the United States. Her relationship with Jefferson highlights the ways in which slavery was not just an economic system, but also a social and political one that shaped the entire fabric of American society. Hemming's legacy is also a reminder of the power of resilience and resistance in the face of oppression. Despite the many obstacles she faced as an enslaved woman, Hemmings managed to carve out a life for herself and for her children, and her descendants have gone on to achieve great success in a variety of fields. Her story is a testament to the human spirit and the enduring legacy of those who have struggled for freedom and justice throughout American history.